Hello, everyone. This is not the typical type of video that we normally do, but we wanted to try something out because what we were getting was a lot of people actually hitting up John, who's our designer at Nextwork, but he's actually like our internal AI advisor, basically, because he lives in Twitter, man. He lives in Twitter, and he's up to date with every single latest AI tool and platform that's out there. And John, maybe you can talk to one of the meetups you had with your friend the other day. And then we can go a bit more into what is this whole AI orchestrator thing? How can you actually make the most out of this in different jobs?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I've been meeting up with a few just like close friends to talk about sort of AI and how you can sort of like orchestrate them or bridge them together. And I had a one of my son's daycare friends, her mother actually, and she was like, "I've been out of the game for a while. Like I've had 2 years off with my second child, and I'm a graphic designer, but I just feel like the AI wave has come like sweeping over, and now I just feel like I'm too far behind. I don't know where to start. It's incredibly overwhelming." And then I just sort of told her like how I'd been using it for like side projects for my wife, and how I sort of got something off the ground relatively quickly. And she immediately jumped up and that was like, "Yo, can we book in a lunch and learn? I really would love to pick your brain on how this can, like, how I can get some insight into what's going on in this space,
Hmm.
and then how I can potentially like leverage those tools in a way that will help me on my sort of graphic design background." So yeah, that's just organically been sort of happening over the past like few weeks now for me, even few months of people just starting to hit me up.
Mm. And how do you kind of think about how to stay up to date with the latest AI tools, like what's going on? Because it feels like every single day there's something new dropping that completely changes the game. This new model is will replace vibe coding. This new model will replace blah blah blah. How do you think about staying up to date with the latest tools that are coming out?
I think it's all about like embracing your like inner learner, or like becoming that sort of lifelong learner, or being open minded or being curious is like the way to go. And I don't think there's any set defined rules of like keeping up to date, because there's so
Mm.
many different platforms, there's so many discussions happening. But one of the I guess for me, the way to keep up is just like get out there and be playful and like play with things, and not like thinking that you have to come to sort of a successful solution or end goal with it. It's just like exploratory. The space is very fast paced and exploratory at the moment, so you just got to embrace that sort of mindset as well, I think, when you dive into the abyss.
Yeah, I think it's spot on. I feel the exact same way. If you have a genuine curiosity to learn about these tools and learn about ways that it can tangibly help you, then man, it completely changes the game. Maybe this would be a
Yeah.
good time to truck into this Fig Jam board that we have set up here. I can see orchestration framework. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit more about like what this means to you? I know you have some stories about like South by Southwest and how
Yeah.
you kind of got to this place. That would be really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess the orchestration framework is starting to, I don't know, your brain is sort of like just fizzing around with many ideas based on the context of your own unique circumstances. And you're like, how can I like do things better, faster, or more creatively, really dependent on your industry. And from that, like you can then start to think of this like sort of orchestrator mindset of like, how can I leverage these like AI tools that are coming on the market to like um, tackle like complex problems, like through orchestration of different tooling, and not just
Mm.
being, say, reliant on the one tool, say like ChatGPT, to try do everything in one go, like build me a website or whatever. Like it's more around like how can you start to break down sort of like maybe a big goal into small chunks that you can like delegate to different tasks that may help you achieve that overall goal.
Mm.
Yeah, that's sort of how I'm thinking about it, and that can be sort of applied to across different verticals and different industries because everyone has unique ideas around the unique problems that exist in their unique space that they operate in.
Mm. So even in this diagram here, I wonder if you could just quickly go through like some of the use cases, and what an orchestrator would actually look like.
Yeah, cool. Hypothetically, yeah, I guess like with any project, you're like starting at a point of discovery. So like having a place or that you can research different ideas and get sort of like a broad range of like what's out there in your particular domain, and you want to be able to like um, go wide, like go really wide, and think about how you could approach it from different angles, and maybe you uncover ways you never even thought were possible as well when you're in sort of that research discovery mindset, which like if we were to go sequentially across here, you could think of it like a you do that sort of first, and that could feed into this sort of creator mindset of like how can I like now take all of this like discovery work that I've done for my particular problem, and then start to like come up with like multiple prototypes or
Mm.
solutions or like first version concepts of ways that we could tackle this particular problem that I'm looking to solve. And then from there, you could take those sort of loose ideas and prototypes, and then you could take it into like a more of a like a designer mode where you're like polishing that concept or project or idea. I'm thinking more in like the web design realm at the moment, but that designer could be applicable to like, say, like accounting or finance. You're like designing like financial solutions. If we
Mm.
were to like really break out of like just thinking this is for creative, and then from there, like once you've like happy with like the solution that you've come up with for this time round, like then you could like use the operator to maybe to start to like codify your learnings or codify your solution so you integrate it into your particular process or workflow, and you could potentially just run through the cycle over and over and just continuously iterate on top of that, which is something that I do all the time with my like design process, but also like even like outside of design, thinking of um, ways of iterating on different problems that I may have in my personal or professional life. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the cool part is like also this bottom part of the diagram, the central database aspect of it, because I think
Mm,
at the moment, to a lot of people and myself included, there's so many different tools, and I could have a tool
mm,
for research, I could have a tool for design or engineering or content creation, but
yep.
I do find it really hard at the moment, and it's like something we've talked about as a team, and like how can we actually create this centralized database where then the context that everyone has, because I don't know about you, but I feel like context feels really, really key in this whole AI space. Um,
Mm.
how do you kind of envision this centralized database working for, let's say, someone who is just trying to build a AI SaaS business?
Yeah, I guess this would be where this is like mission control or like the control hub from like say you cycle through each of these processes and you like cycle through here, then you will be doing because of the pace of AI and the velocity that you can do things now. You want to be able to capture those data points or gems as you go, because there's always
Mm.
going to be like little snippets that are going to be really valuable, and it can get like lost in the abyss if you are just like, say you're continuously just like riffing with chat gbt in a chat, and it's pumping out like insights, and you're just that can get lost in the thread very quickly. Versus, so you need to like be able to capture that somewhere so we can like start to synthesize the different contexts that might come out of like each sort of like stage of your like process on the unique problem space that you're like operating in. So yeah, it's really good to have that, I guess, like repository or area where that those insights are going to live, which you can like refer to as your context, which you talk about, which I also agree is like the secret sauce, I guess, in the AI space. It's all about like context. Context is king. It's been
Mm.
like talked about a lot. So how can you, for your unique problem or whatever you're trying to tackle, how can you like simplify recording that data or those insights as you use the AI, because the AI is just going to pump out a million different directions if you don't like create the guardrails on to operate within to get like the answers that you're looking for.
Mm, yeah, and like maybe we give a bit of a use case or example. Um, I know one that we've talked about a little bit as a team is we have Maya who's on customer support and she's talking to students every single day, multiple student chats, and ideally it should be really easy for anyone in the team to be able to access those chats, understand like what sort of information students are wanting to see, like what type of projects. For my sake, from a marketing perspective, it's like, oh, what are people actually interested in? Because then I should be outputting those on a short form or long form format. And then for you as well, it's like, oh, are people actually using the features that you're designing? Which features are most loved? Which features aren't as loved? Do people know about certain features? And same
Mm.
for someone like a CEO or Amber, who's the CEO of Nextwork. She wants to understand what are students actually looking at, what does the future look like, and does it align with the future that we're kind of thinking about internally as a team. Um,
Mm.
it would be cool, like maybe you could walk us through how you would envision a process like that and what that would actually look like in reality.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is touching on more of like a multi-team approach. So, say
Mm,
at the moment we have like this acting as a singular team member or person who's like orchestrating a whole bunch of tools to achieve the unique solution to their unique problem. In this instance, it's yeah, we're talking about like we have obviously problems across our internal team, and how do we interconnect that those insights or that context with each other so we always stay aligned
mm,
with like what's happening around the business, and how can I access that in real time to like yeah, make more informed decisions. So this is
mm,
like taking it, I guess, to this more advanced tier of like not only am I orchestrating tools to complete my come up with solutions to my problems that I'm like say I'm in design and I've got design problems I need to solve, but also like how can I extract the data from like another team member such as Maya who's like in community talking to a whole bunch of students. How can I get that data or context to inform my product design decisions
mm,
without having to do the usual like book in a meeting, have like a hour chat, and then like 2 hours later she's had three more student calls and I'm already like not up to date with like
mm,
what's the latest on like the chat around like the sentiment that we're getting from our students. So one idea that I've been thinking about is like how do you like the central database could act as like a almost like a central server within the company, so multiple people's sort of orchestration or tools can all sort of feed into here, and it acts as this sort of, I guess, spider web of knowledge within the company internally, which is all being sort of orchestrated through like AI agents, sub agents. Yeah, it's very, very, very cool when you start to like ladder these ideas up into more like what traditionally is very complex, and it happens like the bigger your sort of company scales, the more complex, there's many more alignment issues that happen when you add more people or more headcount to the business. So how could
mm,
we think about the way where you can orchestrate these tools to like maintain context at all time, regardless of headcount size?
mm. And how are you thinking about where in the process do you automate stuff? Like how do you know when it's actually time to, instead of doing something manually, you're like, actually, I think I need to invest time into setting this up either through an agent or some sort of AI workflow. How
Mm.
do you think about that in your own process?
Yeah, I'm not thinking of it too much of as automation, more
Mm,
just a way to increase output. And like I'm seeing personally, like the velocity at which I can reach, that I can produce outputs or outcomes in my particular role has increased massively, which then is allowing more time to think about like other problems within the business. So it's like this, I'm orchestrating within design, but now I can start to think about like I don't know, stuff in your area like
Mm,
growth or marketing, like how can I help with orchestration there? So it's like it's giving me the um, increasing like the creativity context window in my own head, making more space for that to help with like different orchestration of the business and internally,
mm.
which is really cool. And like there's obviously opportunities to like fully automate, but as we're like an early stage startup, we figuring things out as we go, building sandcastles. We're trying new things all the time. So yeah, we just sort of play it by ear on the automation front. But it sometimes does feel like automation when you're watching AI produce like all of these great results for you when you're like contextually giving it instructions on what you want to achieve.
Yeah, and I think it's cool because, like you talked about, the productivity and the velocity to output things increases massively. Um, but you, as the individual, still need to be able to give the context or instruct AI to either gather the context to then produce the result. I
Mm,
wonder if it could be a cool time to actually go through a bit of an example
yeah.
of what this would look like internally.
Yeah, if I jump onto here, so within Granola, which is like an AI note taking app that we religiously use here at Nextwork, um, it has captured sort of all the student calls that Maya has sort of run with different students, which is fantastic. But there's a whole lot of them going on all the time, so it's very hard to sit down and sort of listen through every single student call that comes in. Some are like an hour long, most are probably an hour long. So there needs to be a quick way for someone like myself to synthesize those insights and quickly figure out like, okay, what's say something in product design that isn't being addressed that keeps coming up in these calls. Um, so yeah, like I don't know. Should we? So we in here, I can ask the whole folder of all the student calls a question. Maybe we could ask like, what's a good question? Do you think, Max?
We could ask, what are the features students are most looking forward to, or what projects do they want to see?
What features are the students most looking forward to? What was the other bit you said?
And what projects do they want to see?
And which projects do they want to see? So now we can just get AI to look through all of our student chats, and then it can synthesize all of the transcripts from the calls that Maya's done. And yeah, this is we'll let it run. It's cooking.
And I think the cool thing about this is this particular platform, we all use it internally as a team for every single meeting that we have. And it runs in the background. It can run locally as well. So it has a lot of advantages where you don't have like a weird meeting note bot join a meeting.
Joining the call.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is so awkward.
yeah.
But
And
this way,
usually there's like 10 of them on the call.
yeah, it's like, why is there 10 note takers? But this way, I think it really helps summarize what happened in the call and also the action points, what you need to do. And it's kind of moving towards that centralized database, which I'm sure John will show now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah, so it's came back to me and it said like, yeah, the most popular is like a Discord style sort of community channel, dark mode, which we've heard about a lot. Um, and oh, this is cool. I didn't even know it did this. So it finds exactly the chats that it's referencing. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's almost like a
Uh,
RAG model.
yeah, yeah. And then the internal local rag for next work.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So this is cool. Like I guess for demo purposes, we can like start to think about dark mode implementation. Okay, we now have the insight. So what I'd usually do would like I could take this insight and then go to my Claude. I have a product design advisor here, which I basically just use as a collaboration partner for like kickstarting design, and we could like
And
use
maybe, John, even before you do that,
yeah.
a lot of people might not know about even Claude or what a design advisor looks like. Do you want to talk through
Mm,
like a little bit of the context? I'm sure we'll cover this in a later video in more detail.
yeah,
But like,
for sure.
what is in this project?
Yeah, so my product design advisor is basically like if we go back to the context which we were talking about earlier. So I've basically populated the advisor with a set of instructions to say that you specialize in product design for fast-paced startups and a specific focus on network mission. So this is very comprehensive. This whole list, it's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Which
Oh my
is
gosh.
possibly overkill, but it does the job. And and then I've also included just like a whole bunch of like and product design related context around like quality and like best practice and all of like the UX design principles that help you that I sort of know, but obviously they aren't top of mind. So it's nice to be like referred back to those when I'm like ideating on different product features that we're trying to build with Nextwork.
Mm,
Which is cool. So, and you could do this for any like advisor, collaboration partner relationship, whether like I've got like professional ones for like product, like a personal brand, and then I've got stuff for private stuff like a parenting advisor or like
mm,
a financial advisor or whatever it might be. And then I can just start to like curate the context around like how I want this advisor to behave and like how I want it to answer and how I want it to basically collaborate and advise me on decision making. So I like, and when we go back to the orchestration, like we're researching and creating, so it could fit in this potential like area around like I'm researching ideas. I need advice on how to do something, and I want to just like go back and forwards and have this like collaboration session with the AI. But I've like fine tuned it in a way that it's like really honed in or targeting this specific
mm,
problem space that I'm like focusing on. And in this instance for next work, it's like I'm the product designer, so I'm trying to build good product and like follow best practice principles.
mm. And do you feel that this takes away any of the creativity from the process? Because I know for a lot of people, if you're just prompting AI, it can feel like you're not being creative, or you're just taking the output. How do you kind of think about that whole piece to it?
I think that it amplifies the creativity because it forces you to think of things you might not have even thought about. I go back to like the sort of like me baking sort of UX best practice principles that might not be top of mind, that might have like not be in your sort of like context window in your mind at the time.
Mm,
So it's nice to be referred back to those when you're like collaborating around like how I might approach a solution for this design problem. So I think that it's actually making me more creative because I have this like almost like a say if I was a junior designer and I had a senior designer here at Nextwork, I would ask that senior designer questions because I'm obviously new. He's obviously got more experience. So
mm,
it's like that you have that internal relationship happening. All I'm doing here is like creating that virtually with the LLM, and as everyone knows, the AI is like fantastic for like asking questions and going back and forwards very quickly. But I
mm,
want that very much more tailored response for the specific area that I'm focusing on, which is in this instance product design.
mm. Yeah, I think that to me, when you explained that, it really made a lot more sense, uh, because you're taking not only your context but the context of advisors or designers in the past or other people, depending on whatever product advisor or advisor
Yeah.
you're looking at, uh,
Mm.
and then you're able to riff further on it because you can see their context now.
Yeah.
Maybe we like jump into
Exactly.
that example
Yeah.
from granola.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I guess I can just like copy this, and I could also like, yeah, let's just copy it. I'll be like, we keep getting feature requests to implement dark mode on the app, like this in specifics. Sorry, this specifically. This specifically.
And for a lot of people who don't know how John is typing without typing, he's using a tool called Whisperflow. It's not sponsored. Whisperflow, if you're watching this, please sponsor us. That would be nice, because we are avid listeners. We're avid users of this product. Basically, you
Yeah,
can just hold down a button on your keyboard, and then you can type as if you were normally it audio dictates for you so much
yeah.
faster than typing.
It is a fantastic tool. Yeah, I barely type anymore. I'm just using AI voice transcription
Yeah.
to do everything for me. Yeah, and this goes back to like the orchestration. Like I'm orchestrating different tools, and I've got and even like we have Whisperflow sitting up here, which is helping me orchestrate on top of all of those. So
Mm.
yeah, it's this is a like prime example of you starting to chain these tool togethers to achieve outcomes in a much more sort of like creative manner, and like also increase velocity, and it also just it's quite fun. Like
Yeah, it is
it's a
fun.
different way of operating. Yeah, so yeah, basically, yeah, we have this dark mode implementation, and then I can just like probably just hit enter and see what my product design is very fine tuned. So it's probably going to ask me a whole bunch of questions on like, yeah, like the context. It's going to ask me some questions
Mm.
around like what's the yeah, so what's the current visual design system? Have we got an established color tokens variables, or are they hard coded? How our users currently requesting this through support tickets, user interviews, or community feedback, um, and then what's the current setup. So yeah, it's really like
Mm.
contextually asking me like a bunch of questions that maybe I didn't. I would have thought of all of these anyway, but for like the listeners' sake, maybe these aren't questions I didn't think of, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't actually know. Maybe I need to go back and like go back into that researcher mode and actually like try fully understand like the problem space before I
Mm.
jump into like more getting into this like creator mode, or like starting to come up with concepts or ideas for solutions.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so that's like I guess one part of it is like now I can like look at this and be like, cool. Yeah, what is the current technical setup? We're using React components. Okay. Yeah, we're using. I know that we're using a specific like React library in Figma, which does have dark mode. But like, how can we implement that in the code? Like, I'm unsure about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there I could like ask okay, and then we can switch gears into more of like back to my research mode. Can I switch to another tool to show
Yeah, of course.
orchestration? So I know, so perplexity here, I know that we're
Goat
using,
tool.
yeah, it is. We're using the untitled UI library in Figma. Does the React version of that have a dark mode built into it? So I'll go back to my research and then run Perplexity to see if the library that we're using in Figma will have dark mode built in. So then we can hopefully start to think about how we can get this idea on the way to like implementation.
And why
Yeah,
why use a tool like Perplexity as opposed to just typing that in the Claude chat?
so in the Claude chat, most of these like large language models, they train on like they obviously have like a large language model, so it's like they're training on data, but that data could go out of date depending on how quick they are to update it. So I would use something like Perplexity, where I can get sort of like real time looking at actual websites and like scraping through that data to get sort of more up to date. Context around like
Mm.
what's actually working. In this case, it's a UI React library where I'm trying to figure out, there's dark mode built in, and yeah, sure enough, it is here and it's built in.
Yeah,
So
and I guess the difference between using something like Claude or ChatGPT or whatever LLM and then enabling web search is typically, I mean, everyone in our team and a lot of people around the world have found that Perplexity, when you're researching certain things, is just better when it comes to actually being able to generate a report and show you exactly where things are from.
Mm.
Yeah, a lot of people in the industry, I guess, are using Perplexity when it comes to anything research.
Yeah, yeah, and like maybe they're once you've started to use the AI tools over time, you like maybe become a bit wary of some of the responses, say in like something like Claude. Maybe those responses aren't exactly fully true, or they might be like a bit more skewed. So you want to like sort of validate or back that up, or like
Yeah,
maybe cross check it, which I do all the time. So
yeah,
like these sort of two tools I would use in like my I guess research orchestration of like validating different conceptual ideas or whatever it might be to like check that it's like factually like in the right direction, and just like to maybe reinforce my confidence before I'd say like start orchestrating into more of a different part of like the flow that I'm doing, whether I'm going
mm.
into more like a creation or designing mode. um, yeah, so it's very very cool, highly recommend.
So from here, what would you typically do after this?
Yeah, so like I could continue this conversation here, but I know now that I've immediately got an all clear on like the UI kit that we're using in Figma. Already has like the dark mode color tokens and variables built into it. The code version has the same. So I now know that this is like possible. So I'd be able to now take this information and say go into Figma and start to like maybe map out the existing components that we use in Figma, and map them sort of dark mode to light mode one to one. And that I guess means I'm like now moving into the designer sort of phase, but um, using I guess Figma is an AI tool to a degree, but I'd almost class it as a little bit more traditional at the moment. But the yes, I would then go back into designer mode and start to visualize this solution, and get it ready for like maybe hand off to our engineers, or in my instance, like it was what probably isn't here, like around designer, I'm like actually orchestrating in code as well. So I'm like building out solutions in code and design at the same time. So it could be another sort of orchestrator tier that I am like using the AI for to like help
Mm,
me like realize my vision and not only visual design but also in code as well. Um,
mm,
and then once I have those sort of like solutions in place, I could then I'm wondering how the operator fits in here, but I'm assuming the operator means we start to codify the decision or the solution that we've made, which we would then like finalize with our team, and then we would push that into I guess central database. In this instance, could be like the code base or the production code base. We now have dark mode live.
mm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
and I
and
guess
an operator for a different business could be someone on the legal team or someone on the finance team. Um,
mm,
this is not just for like our business, but for any business in general. You're going to have
mm,
these different people wearing different hats. And I
mm,
think if you can orchestrate the context between them in some sort of central way, um,
mm.
then it becomes a lot more powerful for everyone in the team.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can start to almost take it a step further and start to like say, for instance, you're in the growth marketing side and like you've got a whole bunch of tools that you can orchestrate on your behalf. And I might become interested in like how you're doing certain things or how you so I could start to remix like how you're orchestrating the tools or like or particular tools you're using that could actually influence my role or orchestration as well. So there's like
Mm,
what I'm seeing, what I think and is going to happen is just the infinite like possibilities of like remixing like orchestration patterns and pathways,
mm,
which will mean you'll come up with new ways of working, new ways of doing business, ways that can amplify your business like you've never like thought about before. And I think like going back to my initial point at the start when I caught up with a friend who didn't know where to start. They left that meeting like absolutely fizzing with the possibilities like of
mm,
what they could do because they now understood like this whole concept of orchestration, and they now had like ideas on how they could do it, and like they had like this basic set of tools, or like the tools that we've shown here, just as a starting point to start to think about how I can like build out my own unique personalized stack of orchestration.
Mm, yeah, it really is super powerful. And I know like we can wrap this session up unless there's anything else you wanted to cover, but in the following weeks, I'd love to dive deeper into this process and like look at it
Mm,
from a coding perspective or from a design perspective or accounting or finance,
yeah.
how this could actually look and with what tools.
Yeah, exactly. I'd almost like to, as a fun experiment, we could just start as a researcher and we could dive into maybe a role or a field that's not neither mine or yours,
Yeah.
like accounting, and we could go deep on like creating solutions for maybe an accounting problem. That could be fun as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I feel that this is an infinite sort of like a mesh network or a spider web of like pathways that can just be remixed and like
Mm.
crossed against each other to come up with like things that you never even thought was possible. Which is it's super exciting. It's
It
very
is very
cool.
exciting. It is very,
Yeah,
very cool.
and I'm stoked that this is our first sort of
Yeah.
session on this. So I'm very excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, honestly, yesterday we had a chat because John came back from this meeting. He was like, "Oh, this is the fifth person that's asked me to do this," and then we said as a team like maybe we should just record like what this process looks like and just go
Yeah.
deep dive into it every week. So this is like quite high level, but I think we're going to get much more specific in the following weeks. If there's anything you guys want us to cover, like genuinely, we are living in AI and all the tooling. So if there's anything you want us to cover, let us know in the comments. Subscribe, do all that cool stuff. But we will catch you in the next one.
Nice. So good.
Yeah.